Hey there fans, what's up and welcome back to Foot Leaks. Zidane, the stone-faced genius of football. His accolades as both player and coach have been matched very little throughout the history of football. Only the second man after Miguel Munoz to win a UEFA Champions League title as both a Real Madrid player and manager. The first French manager to win the trophy. He won the Ballon d'Or and multiple FIFA World Player of the Year awards. Unfortunately though, he's had to say goodbye to his club, and here's the reason why. Before we get on with the video, we'd like you to hit that red subscribe button just so you don't have to miss any more juicy content like this video in the future. Contrary to what most people think, he wasn't just appointed as a manager straight away due to his credentials and accolades as a player. He was appointed as a special advisor under Jose Mourinho in November 2010. He was then appointed as sports director for Real Madrid, and 2 years later, he was appointed as assistant coach alongside Carlo Ancelotti. In June 2014, he was appointed as coach for Real Madrid's B team, and it was here that the troubles began. It's widely known that Zidane has quite an inflated ego, and he doesn't like to do as he's told. The root of why he left Real Madrid lies in this theory, or another one to be discussed later on. The troubles between Zidane and management began when he first started managing the Real Madrid B team, where he wasn't wearing any club badges. The director of Spanish National Football Coach Education Center reported him for not doing so, claiming it was hurting the image of the club, having a coach that won't even put on their badge, claiming that it was an insult to the Footballing Association, as well as no one knew or was aware, and they ought to know and be aware that he was manager of the B team for Real Madrid. Zidane kept on as he was, attending games with no badges. Thug life Zidane, no? Soon after his stint as the coach for Real Madrid B, Real Madrid manager Rafael Benitez was sacked, and the much-awaited arrival of Zidane as Real Madrid manager was finally set in writing during January 2016. Everyone was nervous except for steely nerve Zidane. In his first match as manager, he led his team to a 5-0 win in La Liga. In his first ever El Clasico, he once more led his team to a win against bitter rivals Barcelona on their home turf Camp Nou, putting an end to an almost 40-match winning streak. Later in that year, he had led them to a Champions League victory over Atletico Madrid on the 28th of May. The Real Madrid fandom was overjoyed, but some of them were concerned as well over an alleged argument before the start of the match with winger Gareth Bale. Bale, having been transferred to Real Madrid for a world record fee of 80+ million euros, had every right to push back at his, albeit more experienced and a much more competent coach. Rumors were circulated that Zidane had certain criteria for the Welshman at the time, roughing him up especially during training. Perhaps because he thought Bale had to be pushed for him to reach and surpass his true potential, which explains why Bale was injured mostly throughout 2017-18. It was an on and off season for Bale, as he would perform exceptionally and then get injured. To relieve him of his injuries, Bale would be played as a central forward and not as a winger. He had that position very rarely, but when he did, he performed exceptionally, marshalling Real's troops, creating opportunities when the opposition least expected them to, working with Isco and Ronaldo as an almost unstoppable attacking unit. He rarely played in this position, however, only when it mattered. In the final of the 2018 UEFA Champions League, for example, where his attacking as a winger led them to their third consecutive UEFA League title, he was a man of the match at that final, outclassing Mohamed Salah, who single-handedly led Liverpool to their first final in a long time, and the legend of Real Madrid, Cristiano Ronaldo. However, after scoring his first goal in the match, he didn't even look back at his manager. He was also played as a substitute for that game. Zidane's rationale was not getting through to Bale. It was reported that after 2018, when Zidane returned, their relationship broke down even further, and no attempts of reconciliation at this point. With Ronaldo gone to Juventus, there wasn't anyone left to stick up for Bale, and he suffered miserably throughout 2018-19. finally leaving for Tottenham Hotspur in September of this year. He stated that he was relieved, like a huge burden had been lifted off of his shoulders and he could play freely again. However, Zidane wanted Bale to stay, and the club officials selling Gareth Bale off was something that significantly contributed to his departure as manager. Zidane's relationship with Bale can be seen as a relationship between an over-enthusiastic parent and a child. The parent wants his child to succeed at all costs, but won't ever give him a break, even though he loves them. Zidane was incensed after club officials notified him about them doing something which they explicitly told him that they weren't going to do. And here lies our second most contributing factor: problems with management and regulators. Every Real Madrid manager has had problems with Florentino Perez, the club's president, and none more so than Zidane. Despite winning them multiple titles and having extensive knowledge of where it is that the team is lacking and what needs to be fixed and addressed, Perez couldn't care less. Perez has always wanted Real Madrid to be his little toy box. There were reports of Zidane wanting Paul Pogba to join Real Madrid, but Perez refused. There were other players that Zidane wanted and certain players that he didn't want in the team, as he felt that they weren't contributing as much, but Perez couldn't care less. Zidane wanted Eden Hazard to play as a winger and have someone else play with him in a diamond position, with Bale sidelined with injuries. However, Perez wouldn't hear his demands and pleas for a better Real Madrid, and eventually, he too got frustrated to deal with Perez and his antics. It's suspected that Perez wanted Zidane gone at every cost because he felt he was losing his hold over the team because of Zidane. Indeed, he has stated during an interview with The Independent that, quote-unquote, this was entirely expected. All of this is mostly unconfirmed, however, as they are only reports from newsletters and people with sources inside Real Madrid management. A factor contributing to him leaving Real Madrid after such a successful run, however, which is confirmed by Zidane himself, is that Zidane has an old-school mindset. He claims that a club should have a fresh batch of players and a new coach every so often, for the club to keep evolving and not be bogged down by a singular style of play and practice, to keep the club and its players refreshed and willing to take on new challenges to grow and get better. He lives by this mindset, having been a player for the club himself in his illustrious past. He knows what a player needs to go through to give a great performance and what needs to be done to make sure that his great performances are consistent. His time at Real Madrid as a manager will be celebrated throughout the club's future, and it'll be remembered as one of the better times in Real Madrid's past. This brings us to the end of our video, which we hope you guys found really insightful. And if you did, then don't hesitate to smash that like button, subscribe to our channel, and also hit that bell icon so you can catch up on other videos like this in the future. And if you have the time, then give those two videos on your screen a look as well. Until next time, my footballing homies, love y'all.